like to also pay respect to the elders, both past and present. This is the inaugural interbiocultural dialogue of the Americas program, which aims to contribute and respond to the call of the living guardians of our sacred territories. For this opening panel, I have with me Benanda Ji, who is Professor of Law at the Storm College of Law, University of Denver, and who has been an incredible advisor for the ICCS board and executive team. Professor Benanda Ji, over to you.
Dear Professor, you have to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I'm delighted to be here with you and to be able to greet all of you and to pay my respects to all of you. On behalf of the ICCS, it is my privilege and it's my honor to do that. As you heard, it's the 7th International Conference. And those of you who have attended these conferences know how joyful those occasions are. We get together, we enjoy each other's company, we eat together, we are able to laugh together, and then from the ceremonies in the morning until the evening, there is serious talk, there is conversation, there are people who are sharing their wisdom, but at the same time, a very, very joyful occasion. And I'm sorry that today we can't do that because this is our very first online conference. This is an organization that, as you probably know, is led by volunteers. Shekhar Patel ji, who is our president now, and also along with that, Yashwant Pathak ji, Dwivedi ji, Adriana ji, there are so many of you who have given so much time to this organization. And throughout Europe, many countries in Latin America, in the United States, especially Hawaii, even Australia, New Zealand, we have got people who are working together. And today we have global audience. And there are 40 traditions that are represented here. And the conferences that I have attended also have seen again from all over the world those who are sharing their wisdom with us. And we are so delighted to be together. I need to start first of all by saying that today I'm pleased to say that the traditional knowledge, this ancient wisdom, is being recognized now finally and recognized internationally. And that I think is absolutely amazing. I teach international environmental law, and I know that for the protection of biodiversity, for the achievement of sustainable development, it is that ancient wisdom, that those traditional uh, kernels of knowledge, they are the ones who at the present time cannot be matched anywhere. I think I need to not remind you that in the absence of this ancestral wisdom, we have no way of ensuring that the Amazon will be preserved. You probably know that where these traditions are alive, where you have those elders, where the ancient wisdom is preserved, in that part of the Amazon, you find that deforestation is so little, maybe less than 1%. And in the rest of Amazon, it's almost 23%. Let me just very briefly mention to you that science gradually is recognizing, modern science, that this ancient wisdom is very, very not simply ancient, but it is not simply traditional, but it has got a great deal of value. I'm delighted to tell you, and I was pleased to see that just recently, Davi Kopenawa. And he is a Yanomami shaman. He is a spokesman of those people. And he is the first indigenous leader who has been elected to the century-old Brazilian Academy of Sciences. About him, it was said, and I want to read it. It's good that the Academy has recognized the ancestral wisdom of indigenous peoples, especially at this time when humanity is experiencing a socio-environmental crisis that is unprecedented in history. The planet is sick. Indigenous people are the teachers who teach us to have a harmonious, respectful relationship with all of creation. I looked him up and I have not met him, but he has been a great hero of sustainability of the Amazon forest. And when you look at those people, they're aligned. What has been happening and saying, people are saying worldwide on this endemic and pandemic setting. You probably see that in the COVID-19 also. These are the people who have brought their ancient wisdom, and indigenous people have used that traditional knowledge. But at the same time, this is one of the diseases that they are not accustomed to. And so at the present time, many of them are suffering. I want to relate one more thing to you. And this is a very important scientist who said, ancestral knowledge of original people has a great deal to contribute to Western knowledge, especially with regard to caring for the earth and the relationship of reciprocity between human beings and other beings, nature and the transcendent God. We have much to learn, but it's necessary to decolonize knowledge and recognize and understood the science and knowledge of original peoples. I know that there are people who feel that there may be a distance between modern science and that ancient wisdom. But I think at the present time, the recognition is there that modern science, ancient traditions, wisdom, that they can be partners. They complement each other. They can learn from each other. They can work with one another. And I think there are many scientists at the present time who feel that there can be harmony between modern science, and modern science has got a whole lot to learn from the ancient wisdom. I think I should probably stop here. I'm needed simply to mention to you that having teaching international environmental law, working with the people with these ancient traditions, and I've had many students and many peers and many friends here that I revere and have enjoyed their company and have learned a lot from them. So again, I want to thank the ICCS for giving me the opportunity to welcome you all, for giving me the opportunity to share these couple thoughts with you, and most importantly, to pay my tribute to all of you who have brought in that wisdom from ancient times and continuing with the oral traditions. And as I have one of my students talked with her, and she said, I talked with my grandmother. She's the one who tells me about forests. She's the one who tells me about Mother Earth and how much we love it, how much we seek to be in harmony with the environment, with the animals, all the beings that the Lord has created. And so it's my privilege at this time to present to you a person of great esteem and great admiration for me, Diana Sue White Dove. She is a third-generation tribal and traditional leader. She's been practicing ceremonialist, recognized for her abilities that are intuitive. She has served the people on the tribal council as the vice chair from 2001-2004 in many other capacities and for the nation. She has worked in opposition to uranium and other mining in the Colorado Plateau. And I should also mention to you that as I teach international human rights law, on behalf of these traditional people, my students and I, we have brought cases before the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. We have brought cases in this country also. And at the present time also, my students are working on a case that we are going to take to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights on behalf of these traditions and on behalf of these ancient cultures. White Dove is sought after for her mentoring skills. She is an international peace advocate. Isn't that great? She spends her time teaching, nurturing all that she comes into communion with, facilitating weddings, blessings, demonstrations, dance performances, and talks. She goes wherever spirit takes her, but she's happiest in her home village, in the heart of the Savaspai Nation in the Grand Canyon. And I simply want you to know that I have again the highest admiration for these custodians of ancient knowledge that can teach us a lot. And today I'm looking forward to learning a whole lot. And with my regards and respects and namaskar to Diana White Dove. We are looking forward to the ceremony. We are looking forward to having wonderful beginning for our conference today. In your hands, ma'am.
Hey, Pakiobe, Mahakaka, Yakwao, Meebok, Pakwao, He, Meebok, Yika, Haikuyayu, Yanyecha. I ask permission from Spirit to speak English that you may hear and understand. As my first language is the Havasupai language. As we begin, I too open the heavens with the eagle whistle that good things will pour through the heavens upon us, Mother Earth, the two-legged, the animals, the plants. I ask Spirit to watch over us as the human beings, the two-leggeds. I ask that Spirit forgive us, and I ask Mother Earth to forgive us for the raping and the pillaging we've done on her, as she is the one that creates our lives, sustaining us, everything, the two-leggeds, the animals, again, the plants, the waters, things in the waters. It is us, the two-leggeds, that have been hurt and not understanding the natural world. We should love and appreciate the Amazon, Machu Picchu, Africa, the Grand Canyon. Many more places like this exist with great knowledge of our history, of the beginning of time. We just need to look close to read and understand do not have to put them under microscopes to see. Spirit has given us the knowledge in our hearts and in our minds. We just have to awaken and think from heart and mind, not curiosity. We have to begin to understand our world so that we can begin to bring back the harmony of this world and to heal our mother and sustain her for our children to come and their children to come. We ask that you give us this time in dialogue, that we may ask the right questions to give us the understanding of what we need to do to bring back this harmony of this world. I speak on behalf of all the two-legged people, not of one color or one gender. We are here as a people. And in this time, it's teaching us, because of the weathers that have been so devastating in Texas. Never before they realized that this could happen. But it did. We must learn a lesson. Sometimes Spirit gives us these lessons in hard ways because we weren't listening. But He loves us. Mother Earth loves us. As she gives us from birth to death, she still accepts us, good or bad. They both love us. I stand here with my peoples, with the traditional garb, the eagle feathers, the condor feather, and the drum, as this carries the heartbeat of our mother. At this time, as I was saying, that we, the people, the two-legged people, have been so hurtful to our mother. And we have hurt our own people, the lost women that never have been found. The aches and the loss and the emptiness that the mothers carry, the grandmothers carry, because they lost their child. Also, Mother Earth feels that way about us. She cries for us. She asks us to be humble, truthful, honest, respectful, kind. And in this way, we give back to her, to plant the trees, to make sure the water is clean, to help those things that are in the oceans and stop throwing trash, because it hurts them. They don't know that this isn't food. But it's us, the two-legged people, that have created all of this. So I ask, in this way, it is what it's called a woman song. This song is to send a way of giving her this time to take a breath and to know that we still remember her. We still honor her for her sacrifices she's given us. But I also sing this for all those women, grandmothers, mothers, great-great-grandmothers that have lost their children. That is, it's very hard. The women give birth and a great understanding of what they have to go through to give birth to the children. This is why they're so connected. And they are the ones that feel just emptiness and this pain. So I sing this for Mother Earth and all the women to encourage them to stand firm, because this is the time of harmony, and it is not just the male. It has to be both, a balance of man and woman. Hey, Muga, we were out here, but even to here, Ebka, Hankim, Parky over. I say thank you to Spirit. Hey, Hunter.
Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. You're still mute.
Welcome, and it's my privilege to be your moderator today. My name is Robert Toth, and today there are cultures that retain ancient natural reciprocity, balance, harmony, and respect for the sacredness of all being. The questions before us today are, how can this separation of ancestral wisdom and scientific knowledge be healed? What's holding science back from integrating ancestral wisdom? How does ancestral wisdom affirm science? Where do we see some movement toward healing? And how can we reverse the illusion that we can save the earth when the reality is the earth will save us? We have a distinguished panel today, and I'll first introduce to you Mindahi Bastida, who is the director of the Original Nations program of the Fountain, and until 2020 has been the director of the Original Caretakers program at the Center for Earth Ethics of the Union Theological Seminary at Columbia University. He is general coordinator of the Otomi Toltec Regional Council in Mexico, a caretaker of the philosophy and traditions of the Otomi Toltec peoples, and has been Otomi Toltec ritual ceremony officer since 1988. Born in Tultepec, Mexico, he holds a doctorate of rural development from the Universidad Autónoma Metropolitana. He has written on the relationship between the state and indigenous peoples, intercultural education, collective intellectual property rights, and associated traditional knowledge. I present Mindahi Bastida.
Thank you, dear Robert. It's my pleasure to be here in this panel around ancestral wisdom and tradition and scientific knowledge. My name is Mindahi, and I'd like to share with you some ideas. Ancestral wisdom is based in a deep relationship among humans, other beings of the natural and supernatural worlds. It means the relationship that we inherited from our ancestors and from the origins, from the law of origins. And this ancestral wisdom is passed through lineages and through voices and through sounds and through gatherings, through dreams. This ancestral wisdom is also kept not just as a traditional knowledge, but also as a sacred and secret knowledge. It's how we become aware as humans with other relatives, because we are just another species. Human beings, we are just another species in this world. The natural world, as we know it, has the material compound, but also the unseen compounds, meaning that we don't distinguish just around the material and the immaterial world, because we bring together the material and the spirit. For us, nature, we are nature, teaches us how to live in balance, in harmony. So the ecosystems are healthy if we follow the laws of nature and the laws of Mother Earth. We know that we live in cycles. We are aware about time and space. Every territory around the world got personality. The rivers, the mountains, the sky, and the warmth of what we call Mother Earth, the world, are interconnected. We know that we are the reflection of the 4 sacred elements. The water is not a resource for us. Water is sacred, is a sacred element. The air, the wind, we don't take it for granted. It's a sacred element as well. Because when we spark and when we have this chance to live in this world, we meet this sacred element. And when we live, because we are here just for a while, not forever, just for a while, we also give thanks to the sacred wind, to the sacred element. The same with Mother Earth. It's a being. We are aware that this being is alive and God's spirit, a higher spirit than other beings. And that's the reason we need more Mother Earth, and she needs us, but she also needs us. And the fire is a very sacred element as well. So those elements are in ourselves. And we know that we need to live in those cycles, in that harmony. And that's the reason we have those rituals to acknowledge those cycles. And when we have, and we hear about prophecy, we know that we need to take consciousness, to give consciousness that we are living in prophecy. And we need to take into consideration that this prophecy needs to be alive through our actions, through our feelings, through our thoughts. When we don't go with those natural laws and those laws of Mother Earth and the cosmos, we interrupt this harmony. And now that we have science in front of us, especially when it came to the mind that this anthropocentric way of thinking that the human beings, we are the peak of the creation, that's a big lie. This big lie has created this problem. Because climate change, for example, is not just the symptom of the misbehavior as human beings, but it's also the problem. In that, science has played an important role because it has separated intricacies, it has separated thought, how to live in responsibility. So there are original principles that we need to be aware, and we need to come to an agreement that science is extractive and ancestral wisdom lives in reciprocity for any single being. So this is the chance to say that we are here, and this is the time, and the time is now, that we need to live in harmony, in peace and responsibility, all beings, and that science should be in service for the care of life and not the other way around. So this is the time, and the time is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandahi. We'll now hear from Rutendo Nagara, who is an African Indigenous Knowledge Systems practitioner and transdisciplinary researcher. She holds a BS in electrical engineering and MS in medicine and biomedical engineering, and is pursuing a doctorate in philosophy of education. The quest for harmony, coexistence, and complementarity underpins her endeavors. With the passion for integrating art, science, and spirituality toward healing the collective and restoration of the whole, she is a spiritual coach, priestess, and counselor engaging in several modes of healing. She consults in workshops, facilitation in areas of leadership, personal development, health, and wellness. Rotunda.
Thank you. I come in reverence to the elders and all who have walked before us, all who walk with us, and all who will come. And I give gratitude to sit in circle with you all in this panel. My name is Rutendo Ngara. My ancestors are the Bantu peoples of Africa, those who hail from the Great Lakes of the Nile Meridian of first time and migrated in all directions, leaving fragments of ancient civilizations, architectures, astronomies, agricultures, mathematics, and scientific methods. I follow the tracks of the Batwa or the Barwa, the First Nations peoples of these lands who inhabited these lands sustainably for millennia, whose knowledge of cycles, of geology, geography, chemistry, and the language of the earth herself allowed them to leave us clues about the evolution of human cognition, but also the evolution of human consciousness. Whether it is on the cave walls with coded paintings that have sustained tens of thousands of years through the elemental forces of nature, or whether it is through ancient artifacts of Southern Africa, the oldest lunar calendar in the world, the Libombo bone, inscribed upon the fibula of a baboon and estimated at 38,000 years, or the oldest solar calendar of the world, Inzala Yolanga, tracking not only the movements of the sun, but other stellar systems, and recorded in giant megalithic stone structures, estimated at about 77,000 years. Perhaps we can go to the mathematical inscriptions of the Ishango bone or ancient war artifacts or bedding, whatever it is from these ancient lands. I'm a child of this. I am a daughter of those who looked to the stars and decoded cosmology, who through stillness, divination, and meditation could deduce that the celestial body they called Tosa, or what we know as Jupiter, had about 80 children or moons, and all of this without any external instruments, but all of this coded in their mathematical language. And of course, this was eventually confirmed by modern science. I walk in the footsteps of the great desert of Mahadi in Southern Africa, who through dance and trance could deduce that the place that they reside was once lush and green and the source of the great Zambezi River, but was now the feminine place of great dryings and the place of drying and dying of the feminine. You see, when the indigenous people named the place, they included the science, the geology, the history, and cosmology in it. And this too has been informed and confirmed by modern science. The indigenous peoples had access to ancient geological knowledge from more than 2 million years without the instruments of modern science and technology. They recorded it instead in the breasts of the ancient mothers and grandmothers, the water diviners, and they danced and performed ritual to regenerate it, to regenerate the great mother, our planet. I am a descendant of these and many more ancient wisdoms, which, like many indigenous knowledges in the world, have been illegitimized and invalidated by modern science. Yet I would argue that these wisdoms are a science. They're a way of knowing. They're a way of doing. They're a way of sustaining. Ancestral wisdom, ancient wisdom, indigenous knowledge has roots in a particular community. It is tacit, transmuted predominantly orally, but through initiation, through demonstration, through observation. It includes me in its knowing. It is experiential rather than theoretical. It is inherently linked to the understanding of the environment, and it is dynamic and constantly adapting. And according to the great ones of Africa, and indeed the ancient ones across the globe, everything is a teacher. Knowledge lies everywhere. But perhaps, as we have heard, the greatest source of wisdom is nature. And stemming from ancient Kemet, this nature speaks to Neter, the spirit, the sacred, the divine, that which is split into 9 realms of being. This is a regenerative knowledge that has sustained communities and the environment the world now over. It is an ecological knowledge that has integrated communities. It has integrated ways of knowing. It has integrated ways of acting on the knowing. It is a knowledge of both plurality and singularity. It is a way of knowing, or a science that brings together all of us into a web of interconnectedness, interrelatedness, and interdependence, into what we here in the South call Ubuntu, or what in ancient Kemet they called Ma'at. This knowledge is the ways of the river. It charts history. It is meandering and it moves around nooks and crannies. It traverses nuances. It examines all contours. It collects, it deposits, it nourishes, it nurtures, it feeds, it cleanses in order to acquire fullness. Yet modern science or modern knowledge has rendered it as illegitimate. But perhaps modern science has something to learn. Perhaps it can expand from its reductionist and dichotomous perspective and sit in circle and sit in community with other ways of knowing. Because while on one hand, modern science enlightens human understanding of the world and how to interact with it, as a product of human activity, sometimes it is largely anti-nature and anti-social. Sometimes it moves from being a science or a way of understanding to a way of manipulation, a way of carnage, a way of rape. And perhaps we could help with ancestral wisdom to move from this destructive knowledge into a science of understanding, a science that seeks to enlighten and liberate the person, a science that seeks to enlarge the whole. But perhaps I'm trapped in definitions. The greatest scientists of all times, be it Imhotep, be it Einstein, be it Da Vinci, be it Katherine Johnson, their blood flows through time and their genetic code has been passed on from generation to generation. Why do we isolate them, separate them, exclude them from the realms of ancestry? They are our ancestors. They carry wisdom. Or is this dichotomy and binary opposition that of the modern or perhaps Western conceptualization of science? And if the origin of science means to know or ways of knowing, then why have we limited our definitions to technological advancements since the 17th century? Advancements that have given us a greater rational or reasoned understanding of the world, but have they made the world a better place for us and for all who walk with us and all who exist on this planet with us? As we know, it is not only the pandemic of coronavirus that we're in, but we are very fast in the clutches of climate change due to global warming of 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. What is it that modern science has done? But is our very discussion, the very separation of these different ways of knowing, ancestral wisdom and modern scientific knowledge, not rendering us trapped in only one way of seeing or being, or one paradigm to the exclusion of the other? Scientific and indigenous knowledge does not seek binaries and mutual exclusivity as a way of seeing and doing. It is not trapped in either or. It considers both. It considers and. It considers life as a continuum. It is constantly in motion. It is dynamic. It is cyclical. It is ecological. It says we are not a part. It says we are a part. Western science has a logic, but ancestral wisdom has a logic. Western science has a method. Ancestral wisdom has a method. And in its logic and method, ancestral wisdom listens to the rhythm of the oceans, the language of the rivers, the codes of the mountains, the breath of the wind, the words of the birds, the silent steps of the elephant, the branches of the baobab. It brings us into dominion and not domination. It brings us into communion and not contamination. It brings us into harmony and perhaps resonance with the essence of life itself. So perhaps, as a great elder once said, it is time for us to enlarge our medicine bag. Perhaps if we bring these two ways of knowing together, we may find possibilities for creativity and innovation, possibilities for reconciliation and transformation, possibilities for healing and restoration. And perhaps, if we find a place of harmony between these ways of knowing, we will not fall trap into a great African proverb that says, when two elephants fight, it is the grass that gets hurt. I thank you.
Unmute
Robert,
yourself, Bob.
Thank you, Rotunda. I'd like to remind the audience listening in that you can submit a question if you're viewing this through Whova, and use that format to submit questions. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Godlieva Spas, who is Professor New Economics at Avans University of Applied Science. She also contributes to the development of new business, such as the herringbone farming communities that are based on three principles: nature-driven, socially connected, and economically embedded. She writes about economies that are contextual and inclusive, hence diverse and dynamic by nature, combining art, science, practices, and indigenous knowledge. She shares her work in open source podcasts, articles, lectures, performances, and dialogues. Godlieva is a board member and associate director of the Pari Center in Tuscany, Italy, where she organizes and participates in dialogues and courses in art, science, and the sacred. Godlieva.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you all the people that have spoken before me. Let me take you to my country, to the Netherlands. I live in a beautiful, tiny country in the northwest of Europe. And when I cycle through my country, I see lakes, ditches, rivers, and canals. I see endless plains of grassland interspersed with villages, cities, and industrial estates. I see cows and sheep grazing the meadows and looking up when I pass by. The land is flat, the horizon wide, and the clouds play with the sun and the rain, making rainbows. My country borders the sea, and we are great in building dikes to keep the water out. We created extra land by draining lakes and parts of the sea. We are a country of engineers controlling the land and the water. We are excellent in fighting the water. And from this emerged an important part of our culture. It's what we call the freshwater culture, a culture of prediction, control, and negotiation. A culture that puts her trust in science. Within the dikes, we grow food, loads of food. We are the second exporter of agricultural products in the world, not percentage-wise, but in actual numbers. The US is the first, and that country is 236 times bigger than ours. We are huge in floriculture, meat, and floriculture and meat are the most important products that we transport across the border. About 8.8 billion euros worth of meat. In 2018, we slaughtered 15 million pigs, 2.2 million cows, and 605 million chickens. That amounts to 1,200 animals per minute. Agriculture became a matter of money and profit. It came with a cost. Our soil is dead. Our biodiversity decreased to approximately 50% of what it once was. But we are a land of engineers. So we started to redesign our agriculture using robots, drones, light concepts, and vertical greenhouses. We want to control the damage. Our ultimate game, growing meat without animals, growing plants without soil, growing food without people. We lost our connection to nature, to our souls, to what embeds and holds us. But we think we are still in control, that we can engineer alternative ways of agriculture, that science will lead us. Our freshwater culture led to a worldview in which we believe people rule the world. We are also a people of sailors. Outside the dikes, we explored the world. At the risk of our lives, we braved storms, hurricanes, and immense waves to fish and discover the world. That is the more adventurous side of our culture. It's our saltwater culture. And saltwater living is an awareness that you're not in control. Sorry, that you're that you are part of and belong to something bigger, something besides you that you have to work with and become with. Freshwater living is about control, fragmentation, and taking away fear. Saltwater living is about wholeness, relatedness, adventure, and vulnerability. We have forgotten what it is to be vulnerable. We forgot how to do business in harmony with the environment, with something bigger than ourselves. But maybe somewhere deep inside of us, we might still have access to this saltwater way of living. There is a group of fishermen, for example. They decided to take a different path, the salty path. They immersed themselves in ancient indigenous knowledge. They spoke with their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, and they uncovered old stories and traditions. And they combined this wisdom with today's science. And they started a way of fishing that is very small scale and that combines nature conservation and providing food and in one movement. By observing different types of birds, the tides, the sea currents, the algae, the season, and the catch of yesterday, they know what the sea has to give. And their way of working influences everything. They sell their fish directly to the people in restaurants. Literally, we had to learn to cook the catch of the day. We rediscovered species we haven't had on the menu for decades, sometimes even centuries. And their success is not money and profit. It's restoring biodiversity in and around the sea. They make a living, not a profit. Another example is a group of people that formed farming communities. 500 people lease a piece of land together. We hire a farmer to work with us on the land. We heal the soil and the biodiversity by growing our food. By trial and error, we learned to understand the language of nature. We learned how different plants work together and exchange nutrients and water and protect each other and help each other through dry or wet times. The farmer makes a living and heals the soil and the land and nature. The people share the beautiful and healthy food coming from the land. Emerging communities learn and work with each other and with nature. Communities supporting each other, having fun, eating together, dancing together, making music together. We stepped into the tradition of salty life. Both the fishermen and the farming communities made use of scientific knowledge, but are mostly built on ancient wisdom and on trial and error in our daily practice, co-working with nature. It is a beginning. We are far from there. But slowly but surely, the scientific community is becoming curious about the knowledge we gained. Collaboration arises instead of exclusion. We are becoming a supplier of knowledge to universities. Knowledge about holistic ways of farming and doing business. Thank you.
Thank you, Godlieva. Our next speaker, John Briggs, is an American author and co-author of general audience nonfiction books in the fields of holistic physics, aesthetics in the arts, creativity, creative process, and consciousness studies. He co-authored books with physicist F. David Peat that include Looking Glass Universe, Turbulent Mirror, and 7 Life Lessons of Chaos, and also authored Fractals, The Patterns of Chaos, and Fire in the Crucible. John is Distinguished Professor of Writing and Aesthetics at Western Connecticut State University and lives in Granville, a Western Massachusetts hill town, where he has served as a selectman. His published fiction includes the collection Trickster's Tales and Unrealist Fictions, and he's also a fine art photographer. John.
Thank you, Bob, and thanks to all, including our audience out there in cyberspace. Welcome. What most people understand by the word science and its older sibling technology is the power to disassemble a world into objects and parts and to reassemble the parts into new things profitable for humans. That's kind of a ground state of science. The current example is the piece of RNA used to make the COVID-19 vaccine. There's 2 versions of it. This is how science works. The 17th century philosopher Francis Bacon said, science is about the prediction and control of nature. It's the epitome of a certain way of thinking that has come to dominate reality. The challenge facing humanity, I think, involves bringing together 2 diametrically different ways of thinking about nature. For example, we need to develop a vaccine to slow the spread of the virus, which is killing humans. But we also need to be able to listen to the virus, to understand that it is our relative, our brother, our sister, our fellow consciousness. We can't just eradicate the virus with science. That's not even something science believes that it can do. We need to bring calm to the present situation, and that may involve science and vaccines, but it also involves hearing what the natural world has to say about how we're all related, and it's using the virus to do that. If you think we heard all this very clearly and beautifully in Diana White Dove's prayer. Now, what I'm saying would sound to most in my anthropocentric culture like poetry or fuzzy sentimental thinking. In fact, there may be a good analogy of ancestral wisdom with its holistic way of thinking to the metaphoric thinking of poets. The British poet William Blake encouraged readers to see the world in a grain of sand. American poet Walt Whitman advised his readers that the entire universe may be discovered by contemplating a leaf of grass. Metaphoric thinking acknowledges that a stone, a blade of grass, or a virus is a doorway into the n-dimensional web of relationships of everything to everything else in nature. The relationships I'm referring to are not the causal ones science explores. They're much deeper than that. They're what our Lakota friend Tiokasin Ghost Horse tells us are Wakan, the mystery in everything. He and Mendahi also point out that people from anthropocentric cultures like mine are always trying to solve mystery, that's what science does, rather than acknowledging it, rather than taking it into our hearts and recognizing it every moment of every day, letting it nourish us as ancestral peoples do. I'm convinced that without the proper acknowledgement of mystery in nature, our science will become merely an agent of misery and false hope. The metaphors of traditional people are found in ceremonies, prayers, stories, visions, music, and art, in traditions, in the building of the very dwellings they live in. These metaphors allow them to tune into the whole and play their impeccable role in it. Being able to think from the whole is vital. Without that ability, we can't live in this world as a species. Most of us today have lost that ability that traditional peoples have nourished for thousands of years. Ancestral wisdom is not something from the past. It is something that is excruciatingly relevant now. For example, we're in a dialogue with the COVID virus, whether we like it or not. It is our teacher. Beyond the biology, what does the metaphor of COVID have to tell us? Listening with our whole attention to a metaphor does not come easy to most of us, though it should be natural. The virus and the whole natural world infuses, interpenetrates, and is our consciousness. As we've been told again and again by our native sisters and brothers, holistic consciousness is not a consciousness of nature, but a consciousness with nature. Knowledge is not just an accumulation of information. It's an expression, often a very precise expression, of care for other beings, plants, animals, trees, landscapes. The anthropocentric world needs to deeply understand about that care. That understanding can then be a guide to science, with science, and helping to maintain the balance of a world that is always in flux. Now, having said all this, it's actually almost impossible to imagine how such a radically new mission for modern science and technology could actually occur. But Mother Earth, I suspect, has a much bigger and better imagination than we do.
Thank you, John. I'd now like to introduce Vernon Maciespa. Vernon's a member of the Coyote clan of the Hopi tribe of northern Arizona, where he served as tribal council and was elected chairman of the council. He received a BA at Arizona State University in political science and a master's degree from Central Michigan University. Vernon served as director of the Arizona Native Scholastic and Enrichment Resource Program, a joint effort with the University of Arizona's Indian Studies program that provides talented Native American students an education to prepare them for leadership roles in their communities, tribes, and nations. He is currently director of the Black Mesa Trust, dedicating his efforts to stop the turning of pristine aquifer water into slurry coal from the Black Mesa mine that is destroying the sole source of water for the Hopi people. Vernon's constant reminder to us is, all is born of water, all is sustained by water. Vernon?
Vernon, unmute yourself, please.
Unmute yourself, Vernon, please. While we're waiting for Vernon, let me mention that this session is being co-sponsored by the Pari Institute, or the Pari Center in Tuscany, Italy, and also the Lake Erie Institute in Cleveland, Ohio, and that it will be played on those websites I think within a week or so. So if you're interested in spreading the word about where this can be seen again, you can go to the Lake Erie Institute website or the Pari Center website.
Sure.
I believe we have Vernon back now. And so Vernon, please.
Hello, I'm sorry. Can you now hear me?
Yes, yes, you're doing well.
Okay, good. I don't know how to turn the computer on and off. I'm totally illiterate computer-wise, so I had to have a helper here. Well, anyway, I'm honored to be having a dialogue with such distinguished people. I'm very impressed with the introduction because in Hopi, when you are asked, who are you? You respond by saying, I am who I am. That's the standard response. You don't talk about all your accomplishments. And so I'm very, I don't know, I sort of, but let me just quickly talk about or share with you the wisdom and science. From my perspective, I don't claim to speak for the Hopi people. You know, I'm just a student. We came, Hopi people, my ancestors came from a place they call down below. The name for it is Palatki. Palatki. And it is not a specific place, but a region. And so now we say they're referring to Mexico and Central America. That's Palatki. And at one time, it was a beautiful, beautiful place. Arts flourished. They were great mathematicians, architects, astronomers. They were the first scientists. And something happened and the leaders became corrupt and created a civilization that was no longer a safe place to raise children. So they ran away. Hundreds of miles through desert, they finally found themselves to what we now call Colorado Plateau. And here they met a farmer in the desert. And he was a farmer. He was raising corn, beans, squash in a waterless world, in a barren world where there's no water, no lakes, rivers to irrigate the field. But he was doing good, very good. So the people decided this must be the place to stay. This is the safe place we're looking for, a safe place to start a new life. And Maso said that, and they asked him, can we settle here with you? And this farmer named Maso said, that is not my decision. You have to make that decision. Look around you. Life is very hard here. I only have 3 things I can offer you that I use to sustain my way of life. And he showed them a gourd of water, 6 varieties of corn, squash, and beans, and a planting stick, soya. So this is all I have. And if you learn to use these 3 things together, you will live a long time, long time. But you can't separate it. You gotta keep it together like a triangle. And the 6, and so we came, we settled, and we must have took some knowledge from the 3rd world, as the Hopi is called, Paletki. And they applied that to their farming. And they also experimented, trial and error. They were able to do pretty well as farmers in a waterless world. And so we went through a scientific process, of trial and error, experimentation. That's a scientific process. And also brought a lot of knowledge from the ancestors who lived there in that region. And used some of it as well. The water represents the spirit. The seeds is the body. And planting stick is science and technology. Now, why 6 varieties of corn? Because they represent 6 directions, not 4, 6. There's the 4, what we call cardinal directions, east, west, south, north. But then there's another one, Down below, they said, that's the ocean, the sea, from whence all life came. And then the up in the heavens, it's the cosmic sea, another mother. So we have three mothers: the ocean mother, the cosmic mother, and the earth mother. Well, let me give you an example, since I have a very limited time, of just some of the things that is our science, Hopi science. Just a few things I'll mention very quickly. First of all, we are part of the hydrologic cycle. The people are. We, like Western science, talk about hydrologic cycle, but in the Western view, mankind has no part. In the Hopi view, we are the waters, the rivers. And so let's see, what was I going to say? The hydrologic cycle. We all come from the water. We all go down to the cosmic mother and come back down as water, rivers, snow. We replenish Mother Earth, her breast with fresh water. And move on towards the Mother Ocean, where life started. We rest and go back again, up to the ocean, up to the sea, up to the cosmic sea. So that's our science of a hydrologic cycle. The Western science says mankind has no part. It's just a commodity. To us, it's very spiritual. And the other one is the belief that the earth is cut up into 4 quarters. 2 in what we call the Western hemisphere, and then the Eastern hemisphere. And they spin around the axis, north to south. But unlike the modern scientists, we don't go like that. One way. The Hopis say we go like this. That's balance. That's balance. That's science. And the earth and water is represented by what we call Mother's Belt. That's the equator. That divides the earth into 4 quarters. Now, in each of these, in each of the quarters, people develop their own form of religion. And Hopi's ancestors, our part of the world is specifically Colorado Plateau. That's our mother. That's who we are supposed to take good care of, because it's a safe place. It's a sanctuary for all mankind. See, one day many will come and they will bring all their talents and skills and knowledge, religious beliefs, and share it.
Vernon, if I could interrupt for a second, we're running a little short on time. Could you say something about the prophet?
About what?
about the prophecies, the Hopi prophecies.
Well, I ain't gonna be able to do that. It's a long story, but it's written on a rock.
Yeah.
And we are at the ending of the fourth world.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I just want to say, Hopi science, like other indigenous sciences, was here thousands of years before the birth of modern science. We go a long ways back. And it's all based on wisdom. And we are now caught in a situation where life seems to be spinning out of control. We see the coronavirus, for example, is one symptom. And in the prophecy, there is a separation of Western science from the spirit. Well, all I can say is that there was a split. All was based on native science. Even Western science is based on it. Now they've separated. And that's written on Prophecy Rock. And the one path is dominated by Western science and technology. That has an abrupt ending. The bottom is the Masal's path, the spiritual path. That goes clear around the boulder and you can't see it. But just before the modern path ended, there's a connecting line. A breach. So that means that there's hope. It doesn't have to be the ending of the fourth world. We have now threats of different types, including nuclear bombs. And it's all, science has brought us good things, but bad things. And well, so now we need to bring the two together. The mind, the spirit has to come together. That's the hope right there. And we are capable of doing that because we were gifted with the ability to think, weave, talk. And there is another connection. The Hopi creation story has to do with the spider grandma and the twins. One's a weaver, one's an actor. Well, we're just communicating with two numbers, 0 and 1. That's the twins in Hopi. That's our science. But there's a lot to this that I can talk about. But like I said, I probably already passed my time. But I just want to read quickly something I wrote. Years ago, a Greek philosopher, Hippocrates, in Air, Water, and Places, recognized that man's life in sickness and health is bonded with forces of nature, and nature from and that nature, from being oppressed, conquered, must be treated as an ally and friend whose ways must be understood and whose counsel must be respected. All citizens of the world today are confronted with this troublesome paradox. By exploring our natural resource base, mankind is able to obtain food and fiber and other material that is essential for life. But by depleting and abusing our natural resources, we also lose the spiritual substance that is no less vital to our well-being. I gave that message to President Biden because I want the world to recognize finally that there is native science. And today with COVID-19, it's even more important for us to talk about this because look what's happening to us. We have created a natural disaster, man-made, because we abuse the Mother Earth. We're not taking care of her like we're supposed to. And there's also a natural chaos. Example, thundering outside, raining, pouring down, lightning. We're scared. The world's coming to an end. Guess what? Next morning, sun comes up, hundreds of butterflies flying about, a million frog choir singing. That's natural chaos. What we COVID-19 is man-made. We are responsible, us mankind, because we're killing the Mother Earth. And she's sending out signals like COVID-19. And Hopi say, that's not going to be the last one. There's going to be more. There's going to be more. Yeah. So I think with this in mind, it's very important that we now put native science on center stage and teach the world that we must get the three things back together again: religion, technology, must all intertwine. And that's how we will save the world and move on to the fifth world. We can only imagine what that's going to be, but that's going to be based on our ability to imagine, to envision, our ability to make things and to talk. It's like we're doing right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vernon, for all of those insights in history. As we draw to a close, we just want to thank all of those who were involved in making this presentation possible, to the panelists who we've heard, and for all of their endeavors to contribute to restoring balance and harmony to a fragmented world. And to the audience, thank you for your attention. We hope what you've heard both affirms what you personally are doing and also encourages you in your efforts to bridge the ancestral wisdom and scientific knowledge gap. We encourage you to join us tomorrow for the opening session entitled Nature Between Two Paradigms. This dialogue aims to bring light to the crisis affecting biodiversity. In the heart of the world, the Sierra Nevada, the Koji people live by their original wisdom, which, unlike us, understands that humans are nature. The cooperation between the Koji people and the Tapir of the Sierra has allowed them to open a new way of protecting the land and biodiversity. So please plan on joining us tomorrow. At this point, Rutenda Nagar will bring our program to a close.
We give gratitude to all who have presented and all the wisdoms, ancient, present, and future, that we have shared today. And we call in all ancestors who sit in ceremonial circle with us. We call in all ancestors from the 7 directions, the east, from the west, from the north, from the south, those from above, from below, and from the center. We call in those ancestors of Sankofa, those of the ancient past, those who are birthing the ancient future, and those who live now at the confluence of time and timelessness. We call in the great mothers, the nurturers. We call in the great fathers, the holders. We call in the flowing spirits of the moon and the water, the still spirits of the earth and the mountains, the fiery spirits of the suns, the cleansing spirits of the air and the wind, the spirits of nature. We call in the ancient wisdoms from within. We call in the sciences from without. And we plant seeds, collective seeds of consciousness, as we call in the powers of transformation, bringing them all into the unity of being. As we call in the wisdoms inherent in each and every one of us, calling in the power of doing. As we call in the truth, the love, the harmony, the interdependence and interconnectedness of all that is, and calling in the courage to hold it. As we call in the will, the circumspection, to see it all, to act it all, to govern it all in harmony. As we call in the powers of imagination, of innovation, the ability to bring all together in joyous congregation. As we call in our ability to communicate, our ability to dissect, our ability to come to the central place of where all things come. As we call in the spirit of the Great Mother, the one who births the place that we're in, the one who births our planet, the one who births the stars. We call them in with all the ancestors. We call them in with all those who have walked before, all those who walk now, and all who walk into the future. We are the ones of the prophecies, and we are the ones who are writing and living the prophecies of the future. Tokozani, Ashe, Tatenda.
Thank you, Rotendo, for that beautiful conclusion. I'd like to just make a correction. I indicated that the session Nature Between Two Paradigms was tomorrow. It's actually this afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So for all of you who are listening in, we hope that you'll join us there as well. Thank you very much for all of your attention, and especially to all of the panelists who have left us with a lot to think about.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This concludes our presentation.
Bye now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adriana.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Be well.